Hello and welcome. This weekend is stage 3 of the Financial Modeling World Cup, and a little unusually, we're being asked a question about beer uh, by Michael Jarman, who, if you know him, is a big fan of beer and claims to have tracked testing as many as 5,000 different beers in his lifetime. We're going to be asked a question uh, based on real life experience. Presumably, it's not going to be his actual data because that might be a little intrusive. But uh, I figured, well, what can we do to prepare for this? What might this beer review data look like? Well, if you Google beer review app or search it on the App Store, I should say in particular, you'll find there's one clear leader which is called Untapped, and so I went and Googled Untapped sample data, and found on Reddit someone saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting." Signing up to Untapped, but what kind of data do they give? And some kind user had offered a download of their full data set, and so you can come and see this person had like 2,700 reviews, and for each one you can see the beer, the brewery, the beer type. I guess this is the percent of alcohol. I don't know what beer IBU is. Comment, venue name, venue city, venue state, the rating they gave the beer, when the review was created, and a whole bunch of other stuff over here, the brewery location, etc. So I thought I would have a quick think about what questions might you ask if we had a data set like this. Um, and most of the questions I can think of, the easiest way to quickly answer them is with a pivot table. So, for example, you might ask, where does this person mostly drink? Well, let's grab somewhere in here is the venue country. Here we go. And we just put in the first column, which is always populated to give us a count. This is a person who mostly drinks in the US. Let's see, we could drill down further, go to the state. Oh yeah, so there's probably a person who lives in North Carolina, occasionally goes to the UK. Okay, so another question we might ask is, there's a brewery location as well. So where do they like to drink beer from? Let's see, brewery country. And the answer is they almost always drink English beer. Sometimes Welsh, sometimes Scottish, so love the British Isles, then the US, Norway, Belgium, and so on. You might ask, does this line up with which ones they like best? Let's drag in the rating. I'm just going to click down here. I think I've moved my face to a different corner so you can actually see what I'm doing with the pivot table this time. So what's their average rating by location? I'm just going to format them 2 decimal places. So you can see, yeah, England does actually rate pretty highly. Scotland's a bit of a dip. My wife might not approve of that, although she's not much of a beer drinker. But let's see, we could sort by average rating instead. And so you can see, Latvia, the organizers of the FMWC are from Latvia, so they would probably approve of seeing Latvia as the highest rated country, although with only 2 beers tried. England is pretty near the top. One thing I wondered about was how much variation there might be in the reviews of a single beer. So let's do this. That's all the beers. And let's look at the max review and grab the rating again and look at the min review. Now, if I were a bit smarter with pivot tables, I think there is a way to make a pivot table actually tell you, calculate for you the difference between the max and the min, but I'm not a bit smarter with pivot tables, so I don't really use them very much. But so we can do something like this. And actually, sorry, I'm going to insert an extra column so that I can put in one more thing here, because this really only makes sense to look at for beers that have been drunk a bunch of times. So let's add in the count also. Boom, boom. And then we can sort descending by that. So here are the beers that have been drunk 10 to 40 times. And we could just do a quick scale to see what's... Oh yeah, look here. Here's a beer that has been rated everything from 3.5 stars to 5 stars over 9 different drinkings. Aside from that, they seem to be mostly pretty consistent. They're all within a half a star in most cases. Anyway, it's just a random thing I was wondering about. Here's another question you could ask. What is the relationship between the number of beers the person drinks in a day and how much they like the beer? Let's give it a look. So for that, we're going to need count of rating score will do, and we'll replace the max with the average. And then we'll just need that by day. So if it's not called date, what's it called? Created at is what it's called. And you'll see when I drop it in, it automatically assumes that I want to group up by year. I'm going to want to drill down a little more than that, but the think auto grouping is pretty helpful. Not interested in quarters or months, just interested in days. And then to be able to do this, I'm just going to stop showing the subtotals because I'm not interested in those. Here we go. Get rid of the subtotal, and I'll also get rid of the grand total. And then just grab. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll say unique of these. I don't know why there's a 0 in there, but anyway. So these are the number of beers the person has drunk in a day, 1 up to 14. And let's see what the average rating looks like. Average of this, where this is this. And we could put in, let's see, count, view, put in a quick chart. Sorry, not scatter. Let's go bar chart, say. Okay, that's not helpful. You're trying to plot that as a second axis. No, sorry, that was the good one. This is the one that you're plotting as a second axis. What on earth is going on with my computer right now? There we go. So, yeah, I guess that's not too surprising. You can see once the person gets past 6 beers in a day, they're not really loving the experience quite as much, which kind of makes sense. Anyway, that's the kind of question you can ask. I'm not going to try to ask every possible question. In my consulting days, we called that boiling the ocean or possibly taking a fishing expedition, and it was certainly frowned on. One thing I will say, well, two last kind of observations, slightly at random. One is there's a photo URL here, so just for fun, we can say image of that and get a nice little picture of the beer. And there's another one. That's not really relevant for data analysis at all, but I just thought I'd show you that. And the second thing that I noticed that is a little interesting to me is that there are sort of hierarchies in here. So for example, you've got lots of different types of cider here, lots of different types of IPAs and so on. So if I look how many different beer types are there, there are, I can see the, oh, you can't see the count down here because I had to maximize it. So let's just do rows of unique so you can see the number. There are 234 different beer types, but if I split it, so I'm just, for example, taking IPA as one thing, cider as one thing, rather than each as many things, then rows of unique of text split. Think of it mostly as a bug that text split doesn't spill out into multiple columns when you apply it to multiple rows, but in this case it's a feature because it lets me do that. So there are only 81, so lots of big groups there. So this setup is not pivot friendly. Like you couldn't, for example, look at the average of cider in any easy way in a pivot table. Probably someone who knows more about pivot tables than me will say I'm wrong about that, but anyway. So what could you do? Well, you could go and like text split this, like go text to columns and split it up into kind of main category, subcategory, or you could do it a little more directly with this. You can just say text split of this by that. So those are the unique categories, and then you could say something like count ifs this, where this, where it is that, and star. Just means it starts with that. And you could say average ifs, the average, the rating. There are a couple of gaps in the rating, where this is this, and star. Now, I wish that it was easy to sort dynamic arrays like this. I'm just going to copy value paste them over here and do my sorting here. So you can see, for example, Belgian triple doesn't have a lot of reviews, but that's the most highly reviewed thing, and the most commonly drunk thing and one of the most highly reviewed is IPA and pale ale, which I thought is kind of the same as IPA, but I don't know much about beer, as you can probably tell from the way I'm exploring this data set, like I might explore any other random data set. Anyway, like I said, there's only so much you can, only so much of an answer you can give to the question, what kind of questions might you ask with a data set like this? It's only got 30 odd columns, but as you can see, there are a lot of different questions you could ask. Pivot table is a good way to answer most of them, not all of them, but that's what I got for today. Thanks for watching.